What if I told you that Fiona's death solves the entirety of the FNAF timeline and Secret of the Mimic's lore? And I'm not joking here. How it connects the souls to MCM's factory, possessed machines, Fall Fest, Afton, I mean everything. This video will change your entire perspective on the FNAF franchise, and believe me, it all starts by hitting that subscribe button. But seriously, it starts by revealing when and where Fiona actually died. This is critical before we even move on. You see, the last bit of information we have directly from Fiona was that she was going to Fall Fest.
Ed, I hope this message reaches you as soon as you get a break. I have to go help the Fall Fest crew, just for a few days until the installation is finished. It's hard to explain. I just have this terrible feeling like I need to be there so nothing goes wrong. Just in case. Trisha will babysit David while I'm gone. I love you both, and I'll be back next week.
That right there is the last log we have directly from Fiona. There are no more, which leads us to believe she literally died at Fall Fest. And I know that's not groundbreaking news, but what's coming up definitely is, and it proves a lot of theories are correct, even that spirits exist in MCM, and potentially how they're possessing some of the machines there. I know, it's crazy, right? But first, let's pinpoint a year she actually died. And this can be pinpointed from the recordings we have at David's birthday parties. Now, I'll get onto them logs in just 1 second, because before that, we have to talk about the surprise birthday party logs. You know, the ones which are relating to the conference room where David's going to have his birthday. His 6th birthday. How do I know it's his 6th birthday? Well, when you actually go into the conference room where David was going to have his birthday party before he died, there's an achievement icon. On that achievement icon, there's a birthday cake and it has 6 candles for his 6th birthday. And not only that, around this conference room, there's various logs you can pick up. The first log is dated December the 1st. 8 AM is from Edwin, and he tells everyone they need to come into work on the weekend. The next logs we have are dated December the 6th. That is literally on the weekend. If we line this up to a weekend in December from the 1970s, the only week which basically matches is a week in December 1975 from December the 1st to December the 6th. December the 1st being the Monday, which matches with a log, and December the 6th being a Saturday, again matching with a log, and the year being 1975. That's extremely important because now from that log, we can work out when Fiona actually died at Fall Fest, including David. But we don't really need David's death date at this point in time, just Fiona's. You see, if David's 6th birthday was to be in 1975, we can basically rewind the logs now to say that David was born in 1969. So the first birthday tape we see for David's first birthday would be 1970. This is the one where we see a birthday cake with 1 candle on it, literally his first birthday. The next birthday tape we see is Edwin. He's missing the party, so this is his 2nd birthday. The 3rd tape is basically Edwin talking with David and explaining Fiona's death. The birthday cake has 3 candles on it, and one of them is kind of like drooping over, which is clearly symbolizing Fiona's death. His 3rd birthday, 1972. That means Fiona had died at the Fall Fest in 1972. This is extremely important because we know that Secret of the Mimic is taking place in 1979. That means 7 years has passed since Fiona's death to the current point in time where we're playing as Arnold. This opens up all kind of theory work because that means Fiona would have been alive to start on the Fazbear Entertainment project. That means that R&D section below and all the designs were pre-1972, meaning that entire secret project, all the designs, all the animatronics, etc., had been brewing for God knows how long, but I'll come back to that later on, because this is when things start to get quite juicy, because now we know the date when she died, we can start fitting and putting all the puzzle pieces together and figure out how she actually died and how this connects to MCM, spirits potentially possessing other animatronics. I know, sounds wild, but let me continue to explain. You see, there are hints that there may have been a fire during the 1972 Fall Fest that killed Fiona. In the Moon.exe game, there are multiple burned buildings. And not only that, we see a set of statues of a married couple, with the wife being charred and burned, while the husband has a bow tie that seems very reminiscent of Edwin Murray's. Now, if you've played Moon.exe ending, you will know that that couple and Moon and Sun symbolize Fiona and Edwin. So that statue is clearly symbolizing that she was charred and burned just like she was charred and burned at Fall Fest. Not to mention, this is foreshadowed in Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2, where we literally see posters of Fall Fest throughout the game. And there's 2 levels specifically that are based on attractions that can be seen at a carnival: Faza Blast and the Cinder Carousel. Now, interestingly enough, they both catch fire. But that's in Help Wanted 2, right? What about Secret of the Mimic? Well, in Secret of the Mimic, not only do we see a prototype Faza Blast in Big Top's showroom, we also see the Cinder Carousel. Well, a version of it, because we know the Help Wanted 2 version actually features some of the glam rocks, which will be impossible, because in 1972 the glam rocks didn't exist. So we know Help Wanted 2 was a virtual world, a simulation as such. So they were clearly adding characters in. So it's not a 100% recreation. This is potentially why the carousel will look slightly different in Secret of the Mimic to the one in Help Wanted 2. Same with Faza Blast. But have you noticed something here? The carousel is in the MCM factory, not at Fall Fest. And again, if Fiona died in 1972, this would mean that Edwin, Fiona, knew William and Henry in 1972. And we know they were actually very close friends. Several times, Edwin and Fiona call Henry actually Hen, an affectionate term. This leads me to believe that Fall Fest was actually a joint venture between the 4 of them, because Fall Fest was widely believed to be part of Fazbear Entertainment. So if Fazbear Entertainment existed in 1972, surely that would have been Williams and Henry's back then, right? Oh, but things get even more interesting when you realize Edwin was making all the animatronics designs for the Fall Fest Carnival. Look at it. Look at Big Top's showroom. That entire area is a showroom for animatronics, games, designs to be taken to a carnival, to be sold off to a carnival, packed up, shipped off there, rented out, whatever it might be, at a carnival. And did you ever wonder why this entire Big Top area seemed to be supernatural, haunted, how the mannequins seem to move on their own as if they are possessed by souls? Well, what if this entire Big Top showroom was the one sent to Fall Fest? I mean, Fiona herself says she's going there, meaning they would have a role, a stake in the business, so they would send their own designs and creations to Fall Fest, right? It makes sense. I mean, we literally see a warehouse where they're picking up like carnival animatronics machines with big cranes ready to be shipped off. It would only make sense they would use their own rides, attractions, Big Top and his Big Top showroom at this Fall Fest festival. Oh, and not just Big Top, because we know at Fall Fest there were other animatronics, the original Fazbear gang. How do I know this? Well, there's actually artwork showing the entire Fazbear cast at the Fall Fest. Now, it doesn't actually show a date here, but you can clearly see the old designs of Fredbear and the gang. I think it's Freddy and the Gang on tour. You know that old show, which is supposed to be from the 1970s? And we actually see Pirate Foxy, which is exactly like the Pirate Foxy we see in the show in Secret of the Mimic. Chica's design also looks very similar to the Party Chica world design we see. And if the Fall Fest that Fiona died in was the 1972 Fall Fest, we knew Fiona worked on the Chica's Party world designs before she died, which would have been what, 1971? Early 1972 potentially? Because Fall Fest obviously happens in the fall, later on in the year of 1972. So the designs looking very similar to Chica's Party World would even mean then that Chica's Party World Chica could have featured at Fall Fest. You see now how puzzle pieces are starting to fit together, but we're not done just there. There's far more going on than I've even talked about. You see, the amount of collectibles you can get in Secret of the Mimic relating to Fall Fest is unbelievable. There are 10 specific items relating to Fall Fest alone. You have the Fall Fest participation certificate, Fall Fest snow globe, Ditto inventory icon, Ditto moon.exe, Fall Fest ticket booth, the Ditto ticket booth, Ditto inventory icon, Ditto close-up, and the legendary Fall Fest 1970s poster. Though the 1970s poster was featured at PAX for Secret of the Mimic, so kinda not seen in game. But you get my point. The game wants us to know all about Fall Fest and wants us to draw a connection. So if Fiona died at Fall Fest 1972, we know animatronics were there, we know characters were there. And if the entire place burned down, or some of it burnt down, Fiona died, right? What other deaths are we not seeing? And if deaths are involved, surely spirits would haunt the nearest thing. I mean, if they died there, the spirits would go into the nearest animatronics. And if a lot of people died there, a lot of spirits would be there. And this is where things get interesting, because we know MCM could have taken their machines back to their factory. Machines, animatronics containing souls. We know we see a carousel in the MCM factory. Could that be a carousel which was at Fall Fest in 1972? We see Big Top and all his showroom animatronics. An animatronic which literally collects tickets like the tickets book we see, the tickets, vouchers we see throughout the game, literally the collectibles. It makes sense they had a Big Top machine at this festival. I mean, if it was a joint venture, which we know it was because Fiona was sent there, they'd have their own designs and animatronics there. They literally have Big Top designed to be a ticket machine collector at a carnival. So they send him there. He collects all the tickets. This then builds into why the mannequins are drawn to him. Imagine he was there in the midst of this fire, this Big Top animatronic, and several people die at this fire, at this Fall Fest. The souls could be connected to him. This would then build into the mannequins being supernatural that we see in MCM. The souls are literally collected inside of him, which then go into the mannequins back in the factory. That explains their supernatural aspect. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. This could then explain how Fiona's soul travels from Fall Fest back to the MCM factory. She attaches to some type of animatronic, mascot, whatever's there at Fall Fest. After the fire, whatever's left gets transported back to the factory. She could then detach to anything in the factory. Or better yet, all the animatronics which were at the Fall Fest, potentially possessed by the souls which died there, were then recycled by Dolly into the molten metal. Technically, if the old animatronics at Fall Fest were to charred and burned, they would have been recycled. They would have been put into this molten metal, essentially creating the first version of Remnant, which we see powering the entirety of the MCM factory. Without knowing it, there is now Remnant flowing throughout the entirety of the factory, the underground complex, the house, from all the souls of the people who died at Fall Fest, which connected to all the animatronics and mascots found there. And for me, this is literally a theory I'm going to call Big Top theory. How Big Top collects all the souls and brings them back. Not just Big Top specifically, but all the other things found at Fall Fest. Collect the souls, bring them back to the MCM factory, melt it down into molten metal, the first version of Remnant. I like to call that Big Top theory. This then could lead into the other parts of the supernatural, how William first learned of Remnant pre-1983, why he decided to go on his killing spree, nothing to do with his kids as such. He learned of the first Remnant at the MCM factory, the power source. That's why he takes over the house on the hill. This is why he takes over Edwin's house. Everything below it, he then turns into his sister location bunker and experiments with the Remnant which is already there. That's how he starts his mad spree. This is what sparks it all. This is the key to everything. Either that or I'm just completely nuts. Subscribe either way. But for me, that's why Fiona's death was so important. Not only could we find out where in the timeline it fits, but how it fits and what it means for the MCM factory and Secret of the Mimic. It shows us that Secret of the Mimic is supernatural and back to its horror roots. About possession, we just had to look into it more deeply, connect the dots.
I've connected the two dots.
You didn't connect shit, but
I've connected them.
And that's what we've done today. And I don't believe anyone has even remotely talked about this or put the pieces together yet, apart from myself. So please, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with fellow FNAF theorists. I'd love to get everyone's take on it. And don't forget to check out all my other Secret of the Mimic videos. Massive thanks to the Fazbear Entertainment members on screen now, Lauren, Rena Fox, Ritsu Arisu, Queen Bubbles, and our Twisted Fazbear CEOs, Penguin Lover 12, Rock Nigel, and Bubsylicious. Thanks guys. As always, I'm Twisted Animatronic. Hope you enjoyed this theory, and stay safe out there, superstars.